भगवान श्री योगी रामसूरतकुमार की
जय।
सर्वं
योगी रामसूरतकुमारार्पणमस्तु।
Let us offer our grateful pranams at the holy feet of Bhagwan, for all the blessings that He pours upon us. How protective He is, how helping. We have been seeing some glimpses day after day after day, the varied dimensions of Bhagwan. And also some of his teachings, the crumbs from the master's table. We have been picking up and eating, hoping we would be able to digest them, assimilate them. Now today, let's go back, way back in the late 70s. You see Jayaraman, Agaram Jayaraman seated there, and Bhagwan is talking. Talking about what? The lawlessness, the chaos, the endless processions, strikes, no goodwill, no sense of brotherhood. And complete lack of peace, disorder, disharmony everywhere. Bhagwan was very worried about it. And then he would often say, why should this beggar worry? My father has promised to look after the whole world. He is looking after the whole world. Why should this beggar worry? And then he asked Jayaraman, Agaram Jayaraman, you see, wherever we turn, there is always fight in one group, and then between group and group, between man and man, man and wife, everywhere, among the brothers, among the sisters, among the relatives, among the village people, the whole country. is infested with this restlessness, lawlessness, strikes and whatnot, violence. Then Bhagwan says, Jayaraman, why is it happening, Jayaraman? There are Mahatmas and Mahatmas still living here in Bharatadesam. It is the playground of the great masters. The great masters have been living. And then he began to mention the names of the acharyas of Kanchimat, Sringeri Much, and other popular, well-worshipped Mahatmas, the contemporary ones. And then he mentioned himself also and said, there are so many Mahatmas. And they say, if there is one Mahatma, in his presence, the lion and the cow would play together, the tiger and the goat will play together, the snake and the peacock. There will be no sense of enmity at all. There will be order, peace, harmony, joy. But then there are so many of them now, and still the world is the way it is, the nation. Why is that, Jayarama? And people call me Rama himself. They say, I am Sri Rama. When Sri Rama was ruling Ayodhya, Dharma prevailed everywhere. There was no quarrel at all among people. So much so, every aspect was perfect. It came to be identified, came to be called Rama Rajya. It's a model government, the model ruling. And this beggar, why do they call this beggar Rama? What can this beggar do? See how much lawlessness, how much violence. All this is natak. It's all play. This beggar is a dirty beggar. He's a dirty sinner. What can he do? And then he went on to say that these Mahatmas, they depend upon my father for their strength. And then he himself said, and someone else also mentioned there was one or two people around, that when Vishwamitra wanted protection from those Rakshasas, from those wicked people, for doing his yajna, he did not do it himself. He was a Brahmarishi. He went all the way to Ayodhya to ask for Sri Rama and Lakshmana. Why would he do that? He has all the strength of the divine. One look from him, they would have burnt. And yet, he would not do anything. He sought the help of Sri Rama. In all those Puranic stories, we see that. The Rakshasas, the first thing they do is attack all those places of those Brahmins, the Rishis, who would do the yajna and japa for the peace of the world. They would starve till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, from morning, and do this yajna, pujas, for the sake of the world. And yet when these Rakshasas came, the wicked demons came, they were frightened. In fact, those Rakshasas had killed many rishis also, the forests. Very powerful people like Agastya, Vasishta, Vishwamitra, and still the Rakshasas prevailed. There were wars, adharma. So Bhagwan went on mentioning all this. And then he said, you know, Jayaraman, why, despite all these great souls living, there is no peace, there is no law, there is no understanding, there are no values. It's because it's my Father who has designed the whole world, the run of the world. It is He, it is as per His wish, as per His sankalpa, His will. The world is running. Even these great Mahatmas depend upon my Father for their strength. If Father chooses to play a Leela, He would change things overnight, in a fraction of a second. So if Father allows this kind of situation to continue, to develop, or to continue, it could mean only one thing, Jayaraman. Father wants this experience for the world to go through for His own reasons. For something He wants the whole world experience. There is some benefit in this. Otherwise, Father would not do such things. When Father chooses to do something, nobody can interfere. All these great souls depend upon my Father for their strength, for their inner strength, for their power. So, after producing sages, God plays these Leelas also, create situations, and nobody could do anything about it. So Bhagwan went on describing the situations, and the world is no better place today after so many years. We see the whole lot had increased more. So Bhagwan says that, in fact, Bhagwan used to tell me that beggars like this, the great Mahatmas, they will not bring about sudden changes, sudden and vast changes. Whatever changes they would bring, they would do it only gradually. They would not produce any sudden and violent changes in the atmosphere. Whatever they do will follow the laws of nature. It would be gradual, smooth, and stable. So, Bhagwan, after saying all this, when two brothers had come and they had brought a paper, the story I've already mentioned. They were carrying a bail petition, and they had come to get his blessings for that. They were applying this bail petition for their brother-in-law and 8 others who were involved in a certain murder case. They did not do it. They don't belong to that kind. They did not belong to this kind of family also. But somehow the fate would have it. Their brother-in-law was arrested with 8 others on the charges of murder. They had applied to the court in Vellore and it was rejected. So now they had prepared one more to be taken to the High Court in Chennai. So after blessing this bail petition and after sending them off, Bhagwan began to talk. You see what is happening. Leave alone the lawlessness. These people are very pious. They belong to a very pious family. They do all kinds of charitable things. They help the poor people with money. They help the Vedic Pandits. But what happened? One of the brothers had given some 15 rupees as a loan to some man. And that man never returned, never talked about it even. So one day, this pious brother ran into him in some place, and as soon as he saw, he was demanding, "Hey, you took 15 rupees loan, you never returned it." And Mr. Y, who took the loan, he denied flat and said, "Why should I give you? I will not give you." So with it, there was an exchange, a very hot, wild exchange of words between the two, and finally it ended up in blows. Not this brother, but there were some people who had gone with him, and somehow each one provoked the other, with the result, there was a lot of beating on both sides, violence erupted. And that night, the one who took the loan, he passed away unexpectedly. Bhagwan said, this beggar would not mention their names. Let us call Mr. X, Mr. Y. Mr. X asked for the loan and Mr. Y denied flat and said, "I would not give you." So you see, Mr. X is a very pious man. He comes from a family where they would do a lot of charitable things. 15 rupees is nothing for them. But as fate would have it, he had to, something made him ask, and that started the whole thing. Just see, Bhagwan said, this is Maya. He belongs to a pious family. They give away a lot of money as gift to people. And here it's just 15 rupees, and he asked for it, and see what happened. So Bhagwan, giving this as an example, said, where you have to be, one should be wakeful, one should be vigilant, one should remember God all the time. Even for running a householder's life, you have to remember God, remember His name all the time. Take His name, pray to Him and start everything. The minute you forget, the negative forces are all waiting around. And the minute you give out a gap, they enter. Just see, even though they belong to such a nice family, the next day, after Mr. Y passed away, Mr. X's wife, she came to this beggar and said, "Swami, Yesterday he picked up a quarrel with my husband and it came to blows on both sides. And see now, God has punished him. He passed away. She sounded very happy and Bhagwan immediately said, Amma, you don't take it so lightly. Your husband had quarreled with him and there were blows on either side. And therefore, the police might connect your husband also with that and the people who came with him. So do not talk this way. And true to that, the police came and arrested some people and thrown them in jail. And that is why their brother-in-law was thrown into jail with quite a few, 8 others. And they had brought the bail petition before applying it to the Chennai court. And then Bhagwan said, be vigilant, you have to keep on chanting the name. And then he gives this example. We say that everything happens by Father's will, and something happens, we are not able to accept, and then we react violently, we cry. And after that, we say, oh, that happened by Father's will, so it's okay. It takes time to adjust to things, to be able to accept. And then Bhagwan said, you see, a man is driving the car, and because he is driving the car, maybe in the night also, he would be very vigilant, and he would be driving the car carefully. But sometimes, when without knowing, he falls asleep, just for a fraction of a second. He falls asleep, and then the vehicle meets with an accident. In life also, we keep chanting the name of the Divine, so that our life would be free from suffering. And then suddenly, we are drawn by Maya, we are lured into temptations, we forget God, and then these accidents in the sense there will be problems to the mind, problems to the body. The negative forces, you are giving place to these negative forces and they enter. So Bhagwan was giving out a warning. You have to keep chanting the name incessantly without leaving a gap. Even if there is a little gap, something or the other would enter, and then he goes on to give the example of Kaikeyi. This also I mentioned that day. Bhagwan used to repeat the topics on different days. This was one of those days. He was repeating. And he said, you see, Kaikeyi was all the time thinking of Rama, Rama, Rama. Rama, my son, my own son. She enjoyed the thought of Rama. She was devoted to him. And suddenly, this mantra came. And then what did she do? She provoked selfishness in Kaikeyi. She said, mantra said, look, if you allow the coronation of Rama as the king of Ayodhya, do you know what would happen to you? Nobody would care for you. You would be treated as a maidservant. And what would happen to your son? Kaikeyi would normally know that such things would not happen by her own experience. But then, just see, she forgot Rama for a fraction of a second and mantra entered. When Rama was gone, mantra entered and mantra appealed to her selfishness. You have to preserve your dignity. You cannot possibly allow Rama to be made the king of Ayodhya. What would happen to your son? So when she went on saying like that, Rama was completely forgotten and Maya took over. Kama took over. Desire for the kingdom. That's what they say. When Kama is there, Rama will leave. When Rama is there, Kama will not enter. Kama means desire, any desire is generally called. So Bhagwan said, Sita, Mother Sita, how she was to Rama. But the minute she saw that golden deer, the minute she desired the golden deer, until then nothing mattered to her except Rama. Just being with Rama was her life, was her very breath. Nothing, there was nothing else to desire. She was completely content. But the minute she gave place to this wish for this golden tear, you know what happened, the rest is history. Rama was gone, the deer mattered for a second, and Ravana entered. So he says, when you drive the car, you have to be vigilant till you reach the destination. If you sleep off even for a fraction of a second, anything could happen. This reminds me of a story. A few years back, one actor had come. He was telling us how he came to be, how he came to know Bhagwan. After a performance in Tirunelveli, he took a taxi to some place, and as he was going, he saw the picture of Yogi Ramsuratkumar Bhagwan in the car, in the taxi. So when he inquired who it was, the taxi driver said, "This is Yogi Ramsuratkumar of Tiruvannamalai." Then the actor asked him how he came to know. And the driver said, the people for whom I was driving, I was a driver to some devotees of Yogi Ramsuratkumar. Of course, I had no faith in him. I never bothered with him. But then once, when we were returning from Tiruvannamalai, after they had darshan of Bhagwan, they were singing the Naam, and then at a certain place, they all fell asleep. I was the only one awake. It was night time, and I was driving. I was vigilant, and I was driving very carefully, but at one point, I don't know what came over me, I fell asleep right on the steering. The car was still running. All the people in the car went to sleep. They were chanting the name, but they went to sleep. And they had put up the picture of Bhagwan there. They had faith in Bhagwan, that Bhagwan would protect them. But the driver fell asleep. He did not know for how long. It was something he was not even aware he had fallen asleep, and the car was still on the run. After nearly 20 minutes, he woke up with a start. I think 20 or 40 minutes or something. And they had covered nearly 35 kilometers. 35 kilometers the car had run on its own, with the driver falling asleep on the steering. And when he woke up with a start, he saw that the route was right. They had reached a certain place. And he wondered how this could have happened. And that is when he knew instantly the picture that he saw in the front, that it was he, Yogi Ramsuratkumar, took over and he ran the car. He drove the car when the driver fell asleep. So you see the difference. When you have faith in the teacher, in the Gurudev, when you have faith in God, when this gap occurs, the divine takes over, protects. When you have no faith in God or Guru, and you live as per the dictates of your own mind, then it would have met with any accident. Anything could have happened. The difference. So the actor said, I was very impressed with the story, that nearly 35 to 40 kilometers the car had run in the right path without any accident, when everybody fell asleep in the car. This must be the divine. And that's how I developed. And after that I came and saw him. I developed this faith. Of course, this happened a few years back, but Bhagwan was talking about it in the late 70s, the early 80s, about being vigilant. In fact, he would say, even while doing work, even in the ashram, you may be working in the office, working in the kitchen, you may be working anywhere, but you must remember to chant the name. Chanting the name, you do the work. The connection with God is very important for our protection. Otherwise, the negative forces are waiting to influence us. Sometimes it may not be the negative forces from outside, but there will be a sudden confusion in the mind. After nothing at all, you get so angry and you pour out words. The confusion, anger, fear, they take over. So Bhagwan, the only solution is connection with God, and that means remembering the name of God, the easiest. So let us remember this advice of Bhagwan. And Bhagwan is here right in front of us. All of you can see him clearly now. We shall submit today's prayers at his feet. Bhagwan, we pray to you for that vigilance, for that constant remembrance of your name. But we beg you for your immediate divine intervention. Like you said, lawlessness, hierarchy, the restlessness everywhere, violence. All this have been there in the world, but what we have now is worse than all that. A teeny tiny virus has taken over the whole world. Instead of God taking over the world, now a virulent virus has taken over the whole world, before which the army, the strength of an army, the strength of all the money has failed. Only your immediate divine intervention can help. Please stop the disease, the spread of the disease, and uproot the fear from the hearts of people. And please, Bhagwan, please enter some virus We are all waiting for this vaccination to happen soon, sooner than later. Please enter and kill this virus instantly and once for all. Now all those brave soldiers who are in the field still fighting the disease at the very risk of their life, please give them protection. Give a boost to the economy. And above all, this is your Father's play, the way the world is today, just as you said. Despite the presence of all the Mahatmas, a situation continues despite all our prayers, despite the Nama chanting, repeated Nama chanting, repeated prayers, and the presence of great, great Mahatma. A situation continues for so long. It is the Divine Fathers, the Ishwaras, play. For some reason, this situation is designed by Him. And He wants the whole world to go through this experience, but we have had enough of it, and perhaps more. And we seek a huge gift of grace from you, Bhagwan, to stop this, to bring back normalcy to the whole world. And the constant remembrance of your name and the awareness that we are only instruments in your hands. Jai Yogi Ramsuratkumar.